Alterzim Stronghold. We are 3 games deep in this best of 7, and our man in the top position, the top right, the Blue Protoss player from Team Root Gaming. He's down 0-2. The power of Protoss might not be able to deal with the power of post-patch Widow Mines. It is Chad Dr. Jones, a.k.a. Minigun. So, his opponent in the bottom right position, who is taking as much advantage of the test patch as possible from Team Millennium, it is Dayshi. And I'm really trying to think of the best way to handle this the Widow Mine issue, because let's just cut the crap here. Widow Mines fuck up Zealots pretty well. At least in the first 2 games that we saw, it was very difficult for Minigun to be aggressive because Dayshi could plant the mines and then keep his bio on top of them. As soon as he attacks the bio, he runs them back and the mines detonate on the Zealots. I'm interested to see if there's, I guess maybe some sort of Zergling-esque micro is necessary, like Zerg players do against Widow Mines. I'm not 100% sure, but it definitely seems like you can't just... Well, you can't just chase with Zealots. You can't just charge in and try to kill everything. It's not working for Minigun. But this map is good for greedy play. If he wants to play a really long macro game, maybe get Colossi out. This is the map to do it. I think Colossi being the only units that we really didn't see in the first 2 games is a big indicator. Well, I guess it's not necessarily a big indicator, but it's an option that has yet been unexplored that could potentially be very good against this army composition. So we'll have to see. Minigun's moving out to scout. Dayshi has scouted cross. Wants to be all clever. See if Minigun is over here at the start, but alas, he is not. And well, Dayshi, he's playing that macro style. We saw the command center, of course, just adding on 2 barracks, going into 1 gas. Just for now, might go straight to 3. I don't know. This could just be an interesting 3 CC build from Dayshi that has still a relatively early stim timing. The Nexus is on the way for Minigun. He's getting his mothership core out just in case he gets attacked at some point, so that he can be safe. And well, aside from that, not really too much else going on. So moving everything else down. Do you have a few Marines popping out now for Dayshi? And yeah, so this game looks like we're definitely heading into more of a macro type setup. And I think looking at anything else that could affect the types of patches that we've been exploring here, the only other patch that has yet to be really shown in this show match so far, of course, is the Tempest change. I can't really think of too many reasons why we'd see a Tempest, though. It just doesn't really make any sense to build Tempest versus Terran player. I know that in some circles of thought, there's a very good late game army that has a lot of Tempests in it, but it's very difficult to reach that army for a Protoss. And on a big map like this, it's very easy to abuse the mobility of such an army. So Chad Jones has opened up with a robotics facility this game. I think he's decided this is how he wants to mix it up. He is ready. He's ready to try something else. And I like it. I'm hoping that we see Colossus base play out of Minigun, because the charge lot Storm has not been working at all. It simply has not. It's been getting absolutely destroyed by the biomine play. And his early defense picked apart. Look at this. Minigun's already... I love this. He already has pylons. He's got vision of pretty much his entire main base. Very small spaces open, but he's making damn sure that if there were something like a fast drop, he's going to be a little bit more active with his mothership core to see it coming. He's being very careful this time around with his play, and it's an interesting adjustment. And it might seem like it doesn't have any impact, but Minigun is sacrificing his potential to play absurdly greedy on this map because he's actually scared of a potential fast attack from Dayshi. It's something he has to realistically worry about. He sends out an observer to scout. He knows that Dayshi is here since the probe's picked off, or was picked off by that Marine. but he's still sitting relatively comfortably. He has just one gateway. He's getting his Twilight up, continuing to build observers, +1 armor. He's not being really defensive, more so than he is just trying to be very acutely aware of whatever Dayshi could send at him, because he's still sitting on just one gateway. And Dayshi scans, he sees, okay, Robo Forge. Well, this is already very different than how you opened up Minigun. If you guys did not recall, opened Nexus, opened Gateway, Nexus into Stargate on the first 2 maps. So he's playing this out very differently. And the observer gets in the main and he sees, okay, you have a pretty normal setup. You only have 2 barracks though, so Dayshi's actually the one that's being a bit greedy here. It's lowering his unit count. He doesn't have quite as many Marines as you typically would in a normal Terran versus Protoss when you play this way. It allows him to get his +1 attack and his factory at a really nice timing. The medevacs being out this soon is actually kind of ridiculous that he's doing this double mine drop so early on. But Minigun, for the most part, is prepared. He has 2 Stalkers and 2 Sentries, and he does have... He made more than 1 Observer. I know he's got another Observer somewhere, maybe in his natural? Yeah, in his natural mineral line. The only place he does not have a cannon. And now he wants to drop in the main base, but there's a photon cannon. So the Stalkers and Sentries shouldn't have any trouble dealing with this. He's going to try to drop them anyway. Even if he fires before that cannon goes off, nope. It would still do a lot of damage. The photon overcharges the natural, and he stops him. But he does have a Templar Archives, and Dayshi did see that. So he knows it's still going to be a Storm-based army, which means there's the potential for this to also be Charge-based. So Minigun is actually deciding, he was like, okay, well, maybe I can still play with Storm. Maybe I can still play with a lot of Zealots. But maybe I don't necessarily need to attack you in the way that I did before. And by that I mean, he can use the robotics facility. He can use the Warp Prism to try to deal damage. And oh, I love this. The Observer tailing this medevac. He knows feedbacks, insta-gibs that drop right there. But he can use the Warp Prism, and of course doesn't require all the Zealots to clump up on top of those Widow Mines to attack. But 3rd Command Center's on the way for Dayshi, and he's pushing out. His stim is done. He is going to attempt to bring the pain here. And Minigun, this is actually just a very normal time for Terran to attack a Protoss, at least in the Wings of Liberty era and early Heart of the Swarm. These types of attacks are very difficult to execute these days, but Minigun has a very limited weakness at this point in time. He's waiting for that storm energy to build up on his Templar. He doesn't have that. He doesn't actually have any storms here. He's relying on force fields to keep this army at bay, but the Warp Prism is here with 2 Templar. Minigun gonna try to storm drop the natural. Misses, kind of misses the first one. Doesn't really get much. He does force the SCVs to come off mining, which is, it's something. But he still has the threat looming in the air. And immediately, a Viking queued up for Dayshi. Armory's on the way. And we do have 5 barracks now set up. Just that factory as well with the reactor, pumping out Widow Mines. And it's interesting, I think, to see when he decides to get Drilling Claws, if Drilling Claws is something that you can afford to get early on. And I do feel like Drilling Claws has a bigger impact on this matchup than it would against Zerg. And I say that because it's harder, I think, for Zerglings to snipe a Widow Mine than it is for Zealots. Zealots just deal the damage a little bit faster. The armor upgrades, the mech armor upgrades are going to help defend against those other smaller units more. But, tries to move towards the top. Gets clipped by some storms. Nothing really serious, though. This Warp Prism will be forced to retreat, of course. The Warp Prism does move fast enough to evade this Viking. Came close to getting it, though. And the Templar are actually going to have to run out. Dayshi might try to kill them. But this 3rd base for Minigun is going to be a nightmare to hold. Dayshi has his 3rd up and running. He's mining. He's starting his Ghost Academy. Yeah, he's doing everything. And he scans. He sees this Protoss army. There's no ghosts here, but the Widow Mines are creeping forward. And actually, there's no detection here just yet. Storms, not able to get anything. +3 armor is on the way for Minigun. The Widow Mines are slowly advancing. And he moves them all up at once. I feel like this is a bit risky. It allows the Zealots a bit more leeway. Still manages to pick off a few of them with the mines. And these storms are an ever-present danger. The mine count is not that high. Dayshi needs to be careful. There actually was no charge researched by no, does he have it? I don't know. I feel like I haven't been seeing any charges from these Zealots. Somehow this escapes my eye on the production tab. But he doesn't have any Zealots anymore, so I guess that's not as big of a deal. bringing in quite a few more. He does have charge, right? Okay. For some reason, I keep thinking Minigun's forgetting to get charge. He knows this army is rallying out. There's a 4th command center on the way. He has to protect this 3rd base. But the Zealots... Oh, Widowmine doesn't detonate, actually. He drops another storm. He's doing his best to hold this off. Dayshi attacking the 3rd base. Photon Overcharge is activated. War Prism is making its way back over for more harassment action. At least medevacs, quite a few of them being quite low on health. And he's trying to chase this army. I feel like chasing is potentially the weakest strategy, I think, for Minigun at this point because of Widowmine capabilities. The robotics facility has started again, and the robotics bay, excuse me, the 2nd robotics facility. So with this Zealot Harass being sent in, I would love to see Minigun move in towards Colossus base play. And he's picked off one of the Widowmines for it can burrow. There's still one of them kind of stuck here, and this is the power of Widowmines that he can kind of just traipse them around like this. Drops the main base. Zealot's being warped in, but he has a double jump medevac drop. Headed over towards the 3rd as well. There's 2 photon cannons set up here to defend while he's trying to defend against this this Zealot attack. But the main base photon cannon eliminated. There is an immortal here to help these Zealots out. Photon overcharge is activated on the natural nexus. The Templar is here. Feedbacks, medevac storms. Picks off 1. 2nd medevac is picked off as well. Dayshi loses everything he was attacking with in the natural. The main base attack finally cleaned up. And Minigun does have that robotics bay. The army for Dayshi has been effectively castrated, and I think Minigun is now in probably the most comfortable position he's been yet in this this entire show match series. He still needs to be cautious, be wary of the potential for the Ghosts to get in there with those EMPs, but now this is what I think we've been waiting to see, ladies and gentlemen. Some Colossus base play. This is the only thing we have yet to see really tested, and that's what we're really doing here, testing this balanced test patch. These Widowmines are really freaking strong. And I am curious to see how they fare. Another drop, just a few Marines in the main base. Actually kills a couple probes with his own storms. But I'm really curious to see how this army fares against the Widowmines now once the Colossi get into play. Because really the Colossi have the crazy range. The Colossi allow for the Terran player... Well, I mean, they allow for the Protoss player to not only just bait in the Vikings and force the gas to be spent somewhere other than medevacs and mines, but they also have the range with the observers to clean up the mines before they can detonate, since they do a lot of damage. It will punish the mines, clumping, all sorts of wonderful things, but range is still about a minute away. Dark Shrine is on the way, and Minigun, wow, that one Marauder, that is annoying, is potentially about to be attacked. EMP on the Immortal and a Sentry and the Colossus. So a lot of storms. He just kind of throws the storm. He's like, back off. The Widowmines are creeping ever closer to his base. And this gives Dayshi a nice little point of defense. But look at that. The Colossi with the Immortal. The Zealots don't have to be as heavy in the army anymore. Now that he has the Colossi to clean up the mines, he could mix them in again. But he's making good use of this. And we're kind of just seeing this being pretty well in play. Did he snipe the Observer? Is there no Observer with this army anymore? Yeah, he got the Observer. Wow. That's pretty cool. Picks off a few units on the left side. And he does need another one or two. The one problem, of course, is trying to build the Colossi and Observers at the same time if they use the same production facilities. But Marauders slink into that fourth base of Minigun, chewing away at the probes. Zealots are being sent over to defend this. There's no Widow Mines with this force, so he's okay. But look at these Widow Mines splintered around the right side. The other thing that's important to mention in this scenario as a Terran player is that it's very difficult for Minigun to get flanks. If you try to flank this army, you're going to run through a couple of Widow Mines on accident, or at the very least, the Terran player will know that you're trying to flank them. But Dayshi's not giving up. He's dropping that third. Once again, the Marauders are doing what they can. They've got the 2/2 upgrades. +3 attack is just about to finish. And Minigun might have had enough of this. He wants to attack, it seems. There's not really any Vikings. There's still 4 Colossi. EMPs hit everything except 2 High Templar. There's just a couple of storms left. Throws another EMP, whiffs on those Templar. There's still an Observer alive. The Observer's really all he needs, and the Widow Mines. We're pretty much, the Widow Mines they all died. They're very clear. It seems that they are, in fact, not as good versus Colossi-based army compositions, and I think this is a little bit more towards what we were looking to see earlier on. So at least he's got something. Like the Widow Mines aren't as big of a threat because he's got more range. DT's gonna slink over. Wow, 6 DTs going to harass. That could actually kill him. But see, these Widow Mines don't do as much. Kill maybe a Zealot. The EMPs are more effective at this point for dealing with the large clumps of units, I feel. from the Terran players. So the Widow Mines, they do not seem to have a place for the Colossi. He still makes it difficult to attack, because if they detonate before they die, then they're somewhat useful, but I don't think you can put them in front of your army in this scenario. There are the Colossi, the Stalkers, trying to pick these units off. Snipes the Observer. Does he have good cloak? No. But this army from Dayshi is actually doing quite well. The DTs have made it into the main base. They're chewing everything apart. All Minigun needs to do is hold on now. He's crippling Dayshi behind this. The Dayshi has to send everything home. He's got to deal so many... God damn, there's a lot of Dark Templar in his base. He's picked off tons of SCVs in the main, some production as well. The Widow Mine... Oh, nice... Widow Mine shot picks off one Dark Templar, but there's still too much here. He's destroying everything, and Minigun going into chase. The Colossi seem to be doing well. Widow Mine killed the Colossus, but the Colossi seem to be an effective way to deal with the Widow Mines as long as you don't get your observers sniped. But it also means you kind of have a reason to snipe observers other than just cloaked ghosts, which is also neat to see. The DTs finally cleaned up in that main base, but they did a lot of damage. Picked off barracks, picked off missile turrets, refineries, depots, all sorts of good things. So not bad play from Minigun. This array of mines still traipsing around. And he does have, keep in mind, the Drilling Claws upgrade. So these mines burrow as fast as they can. Its upgrades are +3 attack, +2 armor for Dayshi versus +3 armor, +2 attack for Minigun. And... yeah, this is still really annoying, though. He has to keep a lot of observers with his army to deal with the Widow Mines, since they keep getting sniped by the Vikings. But aside from that, this game's been pretty back and forth. This still feels relatively close. The only reason why I'm a little bit worried for Dayshi is Minigun's bank, but Dayshi's army composition is really strong right now, and if he can attack before Minigun has everything else situated, he might be able to just knock his opponent down, just clock him in the head. Throws a scan and an EMP. Hits just a Colossus with that. Throws another storm. Hurting the Vikings. The Stalkers blink forward. Needs to be careful. That blink cooldown I don't think really has too much of an impact in this situation, but it does make jumping forward to hit those Vikings a bit harder. And I love the flanking Templar, even as the caster, as the observer that can see everything. It's hard to see those flanking Templar coming in. And Minigun is throwing the storms. He's actually willing to take this fight. The Vikings have all but fallen, and just 1-2 left. Now, another Colossus does drop, but there's still 2 remaining, and this could be all Minigun needs to take a good fight against Dayshi. Stepping forward, the concussive shells helping to chase. We're seeing less and less of the Widow Mines employed now in this army composition, but Dayshi, does he have enough? The Vikings are so low. The Colossi are quite low themselves, but there's not enough here, and Minigun is punching through this army. The Colossus seems to be a rather effective counter to the Widow Mine based play. And there's also 4 DTs being warped in on this left base. Is he going to head back into the main again? I'm curious to see where these DTs go. The missile turret, that planetary, makes it unassailable at the moment. And Minigun's trying to go for the kill, maybe. I think he's just going to... yeah. DT slinking into the main again. And at the same time, punching that natural area. The third base area, I guess, is a better way to say it. Dayshi cleans up the Warp Prism at his 5th base. And the DTs actually might kill one of these orbital commands and the starport, which would be very, very difficult to deal with. Dayshi's army, he's having a really hard time getting it back up. He's lost tons of gas income, if you really think about it. He's starting to float minerals as a Terran player. Like, when the hell does that happen? He's decided to build Hellbats instead of the Widow Mines. And I actually wonder if you can just switch carefree between Hellbats and Mines, if you need Hellbats to tank versus Colossi and the Mines to tank versus the Zealots. I don't know. It's interesting to see what Dayshi's doing with the infrastructure that he already has. But this is still a really tough position for him. And Minigun is, he is going to shut this base down. Dayshi's running his army forward. He's trying to catch this off guard. But, oh, the repair's going to be enough. The Command Center is still alive. He doesn't have building armor. I'm surprised that's still alive. Couple storms blanket the chasing force. Picks off a Colossus. All the Colossi on the right side. The Colossus on the left side is sniped. There's a lot of Vikings, but not that much bio anymore. And there's no Widow Mines with this army. So the Zealots, if they wanted to engage, they do have a small window. But this Planetary Fortress being alive is everything right now. And oh goodness, that is a lot of Zealots being warped into the main. He has his economy intact from that Planetary, but the main base is being eradicated. He's forced to scan the Widow Mines, kind of helping in this situation, but he's just dancing around everything. And Minigun, he's got to be feeling good about himself. He does snipe that left base off at the same time. Keep in mind, as the whole army was pulled back to deal with this attack. And Dayshi's army, it's, you know, he has a well-rounded diet of, you know, he's got a ghost in there, he's got some Vikings, medevacs, but his army is just not as big as it needs to be. And Minigun is, he knows, he's like, well, yeah, I don't see any more Widow Mines, really, so I'm just going to continue to build a bunch of Zealots again. And now Dayshi, can he really afford to build 3 Widow Mines at a time? No, he needs his gas for for other units, especially. Scans, he sees this force. There's no colossi with it, sure. 2 of them are on the way, though. And I think that's going to be a potential finishing blow. Throws an EMP. But he's chasing into the storms. The Vikings are going to land, and... oh, no. Landed Vikings. They do have +2 attack, but the colossi are coming. They're quite close. He scans, and he sees them, and he's giving chase. The Vikings need to lift up, and they shall. Dayshi's still taking some good trades, though. Dayshi has managed to get, I feel, is a rather even position for the late game. And he's doing a lot. He's actually doing pretty damn well. But Minigun is, I mean, oh man, it's so back and forth. It's really hard to tell who exactly is ahead with the economy and the workers and everything that's been killed and destroyed. I still feel like there was a lot of lost infrastructure for Dayshi, but he's rebuilt a lot of it in his external bases. He still has a good number of command centers, even though he has lower worker count. He can use that additional supply to build more units and a flanking storm. His flanking Templar manages to get some damage done. He's pushing forward again with this army. He's ready to attack. A lot of these Vikings are very, very low on hit points. In fact, I think all of them are in the red. Literally all but 2 are in the red health. And these Colossi are weak. You know, they're quite vulnerable to the Vikings. But if you can get just maybe 1 or 2 more storms, that Colossus has a 1 hit point. Armor upgrade's really good. And +3 attack. It's really funny to think it's one of those situations where +3 attack would have killed it. But 1 good storm could kill most of these Vikings. So, scans, sees the force. He's moving out towards it once again. Throws an EMP. EMP's a lot of the army. The 1 hit point Colossus is left naked again. The Stalkers have to leave the charge. Not something you ever want to do, but I think he's also repaired these Vikings quite well. So this is still a really tough position. This is Alterzim's stronghold. Dayshi's resources are still quite low. Oh, the Stalkers! Take a shot, blink back. He's got to be careful. That Stalker blink cooldown is a little bit slower than it was before. But the Hellbats in this army with Blue Flame might also be a good counter to late game Zealots once the Colossi are on the map. I think Blue Flame Hellbats might just be better when they're a Colossus. But he snipes 1, 2. 3rd Colossus is so low walking into the storms, but he gets it. There's 1 Colossus remaining. Can he pick it off? He does. More Zealots are being brought in, but there are Hellbats with Blue Flame moving in. All the flanking Templar gets 1 storm off, but it doesn't seem like it's enough. The last Colossus topples. He's warping in Zealots right here in the fight. The Vikings are landing. Flank storm comes in, does a lot of damage to this force. Somehow no one is clearly winning this fight. I feel like Dayshi has a lot of units, but they're so weak. The Immortals are basically just bopping the rest of the Marauders on the head with how few hit points they have. So few resources and army supply for both players. Dayshi decides he's just going to try to retreat, and Minigun with 100 supply wins that fight, as he has now secured another base in the northwest. We have officially mined out the 3rd base and the natural and the main for Minigun. There's still a little bit left in the 3rd for Dayshi, as he did get harassed much more. His 4th base is mined out, though. Mules. He will need to take additional bases soon, and this is where Minigun can try to use the power of Warpins to abuse any left side expansions. Although that being said, there are no pylons on the southwest hemisphere of the map. He's only on the northeast half. Minigun does have this base secured, though. He can start mining gas from there soon. Another scan, and Dayshi, he's having a bit of difficulty keeping up with the production of his opponent. It's that extra economy for Minigun that's really allowing him to win this game. And the Zealots, they're being chased. But, well, how much can he really deal with this? Oh! Snipes snipes the forward Templar at least. And he's almost got enough energy for 2 more snipes. He does need to be careful. as just only takes, I think, maybe 1 or 2 more storms to end this game. But the colossi production, as long as that keeps going, Dayshi has to build Vikings. And the problem with building Vikings is they suck versus everything else. Runs 2 Marauders forward. But he's got the army composition I feel that he needs. He just needs to get the engagement. And Minigun is paying a lot of respect to this. He doesn't want to push too far in and get killed, because he does recognize the army supply is still really close. The total supply difference seems to mostly be in the 26 worker difference. But some of these ghosts are getting sniped. Hellbat gets a little bit of damage taken, and this DT is actually patrolling, checking for extra bases. Dayshi at some point is going to have to take this fight. He needs to get this army off his back. He steps forward, eats a storm. There is another storm ready, and he drops it right on top of the right half of that army. The ghosts mostly picked off the Vikings with a decent spread, though. Are going to pick off all of the colossi. One more Templar runs in, though. He's got the final storms to potentially win this push and the game. Another Colossus shows up just in the nick of time. He cannot land the Vikings. The Stalkers blinking, chasing, picking off medevacs after medevacs, and even presenting a threat to those Vikings. Now he's just going to say, hey, yeah, I don't need to kill you just yet. Killing your production doesn't seem to kill you for some reason. As a Terran player, usually you die when you lose your production buildings, but he's managed to stay well kept, I guess. Upkept. His upkeep has been good for this game. But there is a huge amount of units. I'm just wondering where Minigun's going to decide to attack. Does Minigun push into the natural third area? Does he push into the expansions? He already knows that there's no additional bases in the northwest, so in the southeast, excuse me. But one Colossus gets picked off, and the Minigun is being tenacious. But Dayshi, I mean, even more so tenacious. He's down 40 army supply, giving it everything he's got. Minigun's like, okay, I'm going to expand again. Let's get some more money. And well, Dayshi, he's just trying to slowly build up his forces. Viking gets picked off. Another Viking gets snapped up here. And this is a difficult position to be in for Dayshi. He's kind of boxed in at this point. And, you know, balance patches aside, this is just some good old TvP now. There's not much you can do aside from just trying to micro and get a good engagement. But I feel like Chad Jones has just been more cost effective. He's taken more bases faster. And he's actually using those macro skills to a really, really good point in this game, that he's looking dominant, but he still can't really push in. Dayshi is still scaring this army off, and the Vikings giving chase. The Stalker's going to pick off a good couple of them, but one of the Colossi falls. The Hellbats are coming up here with that the Blue Flame. He's doing everything that he can. Gets pushed back for now, though, and I think this might be it. He's dipped him below 100 supply. I keep thinking this might be it, but Dayshi refuses to die. Tenacious son of a bitch. Gets stormed. Whoop. That's a great juke on that storm. Feedbacks a couple of the medevacs. There's still some healing power left, but this army from Minigun, with no more Vikings to threaten the Colossi production, the Giraffes loom forward with their long necks, and Protoss claims its first victory in our Kappa Star League Best of 7